I got one for you.
Okay.
What do you call a sleepwalking nun?
I don't know.
A Roman Catholic.
This week, Caitlin's going to change every fluid, filter, and gasket on the C-10 Revival that we've affectionately named Joan Rivers because, well, it's had a lot of work done to it, and it's still rougher than a stucco bathtub.
This thing's got more leaks than a gas station bathroom. This thing's got more leaks than the Iraqi Navy. Caitlin, this thing's got more leaks than the SS Minnow. Even the steering gear's leaking. This thing's got more leaks than a mud hut in a hurricane. I swear, Caitlin, this thing's got more leaks than the Chinese surveillance balloon. What's leaking over here? This thing's got more leaks than a Senate Intelligence Committee. While the rest of the truck's got more leaks than a wicker basket, the rear end's actually pretty dry, which either means it doesn't have any gear oil in it, or that 10 bolt is still in pretty good shape.
So the Joan Rivers Revival starts this week. We just want to say thanks for watching, because we started this channel just to chronicle a dad teaching his daughter how to work on old vehicles, because almost 2 years ago, Caitlin bought, with her own money, a 1941 Ford pickup that's still sitting in Colorado. Actually sitting in the same spot it's been sitting since 1975. Rain when parked. The 41 Ford, though, is going to come to Ohio this spring. We're going to go out and pick it up, and the 81 GMC behind us is really just an introductory project, a way for me to teach her what doing brakes and basic engine work looks like, and understanding the mechanics of what she's going to be doing when we build out her 41 Ford.
Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell so you know a new video drops.
This thing runs almost as bad as it leaks right now. So we're gonna get in here and really clean this up. So Caitlin, first thing we need to do is cover up the carburetor because we're gonna be degreasing everything. We don't need that in the carb. And then start servicing. What? Where are you going?
I gotta go inside real quick.
Well, don't you go anywhere, because before this episode's over, we're gonna drop the oil pan and open up the rear diff and show you whether or not we got a 2-bolt or a 4-bolt main 350 and what kind of gear ratio we're dealing with. Stick around, you're gonna wanna find this out. All right, we're gonna mix up some degreaser to spray all over the engine, transmission, and undercarriage before we pressure wash it. Oil eater. It's hungry to clean, it says. Also has no instructions for how much it should be diluted. It just says mix with water. Sure, I can do that. Nope, probably a little bit more. There's a lot of oil in there. Environmentally friendly, safe for using in kitchens, it says, which I don't know why you'd ever have motor oil in your kitchen, but you do you. So you're just gonna cover everything you can down here, all over the inside. Don't spray up there. All right, so Caitlin, we're gonna go ahead and pull both of these sets of valve covers because I noticed in the last video, which if you haven't seen the video where we were figuring out what we're dealing with, you can find it up here. I'll link it in the corner. But I noticed that the valve cover gasket on that side was completely blown in two, which would explain some of the oil leak that we've been dealing with. So, perfect, that's gone forever.
Haha. Wait a second. Am I like slow, or was this supposed to come out?
No, that threaded stud is supposed to stay in there.
Well then...
Which hole did it come out of?
This one down here.
Here. Take it and thread it back in the hole. Okay. All right, so Caitlin and I have gone ahead and cleaned these up. Now we haven't got them cleaned up as a finished product, but they're cleaned up enough to put back on there.
You're just like me. Trash!
Now, there's a couple things that you guys need to understand. Two things that you need in life. A good wife and a good tool cart. Both of them will get you a long way in life. I mean, you don't need a wife, you need a good husband, but you know what I'm saying. Good spouse, good tool cart, and you're like halfway to success right there. Hey, Caitlin.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about your mom?
I don't know.
Mine is that she doesn't know about that new GoPro camera that's over there recording us right now.
Yeah, I've had this thing for like 2 weeks now. A week, actually.
All right, now before we put these valve covers back on, I want to look here and see if there's any dirt or gunk. And right here, right there is some old silicone sitting inside there. And that would have ended up back in the crankcase. So we're going to look there. Look on your side.
I need a blue towel. Ooh. That's one way to do it.
All right, so as I said, these things are clean, but they're not like clean. So before we're done, we might go ahead and give it the old corporate blue Craigslist rebuild. For now, it's good enough though. Okay, so some of you fellas noticed this right away, but these old glass fuel filters have got to go. Some of you mentioned that in the comments, and we knew it was there, and you can see how filthy it is because actually we ran this thing out of gas pulling it off the trailer when we brought it home. So we're going to swap out this fuel filter for a good Wix 33022 fuel filter. That's what you need right there. That's all you need. Caitlin's going to do that because, well...
Oh, that's gone. Never mind.
You might have to get two hands on it.
Help.
If you've got an old hose that's been on as long as this one's probably been on, sometimes you just need to get a little pick in there to loosen that up and separate it. There. See, the problem with these glass filters is that they bounce around in here right next to this intake and below the carburetor, and eventually it's going to break and you're going to end up with fuel all over the top of your intake, pouring down on top of your exhaust manifold, and eventually you're going to have a big fire under your hood. So get rid of these as quick as you can. Alright, so you're going to put the new hose clamps on first. There you go. And then put the filter in.
This way?
Nope.
This way.
There's an arrow on it for the flow, and it comes from this hard line here from the fuel pump. Fuel filter changed, valve cover gaskets changed, pick found. So while we're changing fluids in here, we are not going to change the radiator fluid because this has got a brand new water pump on it. And if you come right over here and you look down the snout at the ice cube juice, it's right there at the top and it's nice and clean. So we're not going to mess with that. All right, we're going to
pull the spark plugs out of this thing while we're still on top here, because the last time this thing was running, it sounded like the plugs were really badly fouled. So we're gonna pull them out, inspect them. I'm gonna teach Caitlin how to read spark plugs real quick, just by looking at the surface, the ignition surface. And then we've got a new set we're just gonna throw in, just so we know we've got 8 good spark plugs in here. So Caitlin, it's gonna be on you.
Okay.
They're gonna be tight.
Okay.
Do not break the spark plugs off.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That one was
Tight at
loose. Huh. That was like finger tight. If you can see this here, this is really black. And that gap is big enough almost to drive this entire pickup through. So this spark plug is very badly fouled. So Caitlin, what we're looking for here, I've got a picture on my phone I'm going to show you. You see how black that is? Mm-hmm. That would match like something up here in this fouled. What we're looking for is something where we can still see some of the porcelain. It's going to be like a darkish brown, and there's going to be evidence of burning, but not soot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a fouled plug.
Yeah.
Which means it's no good.
No good.
Go ahead and grab the rest of them out of there. All right, so old spark plug right there, totally fouled. New spark plug, nice and clean. We're gonna gap these things properly and then throw them back in there. Caitlin, the gap we're talking about is the gap that exists between the electrode there and whatever this is called on top, I don't know.
A pinky.
Yeah, so you see the gap difference in those two? So proper gapping here should be 0.035, and I remember that because on a 350 engine it's 0.035, and I don't know what that is, 0.035 millimeters, centimeters, feet, I don't know. But they make a nice little capping tool like this, and you're just gonna stick it in there.
Miles?
You're just gonna stick it in there and work it around until you get to 0.035, which is gonna be right about there. And that's properly gapped. All right, throw that one in.
Only one problem, Bob.
What?
Where does it go? Oh, I see.
There's
Never
a
mind.
hole right there. Bob.
Out of the hole, Bob Dole. This way or this way? Definitely this way. Not this way.
Threads in.
This way.
It threads
wet.
in.
Easy.
Sweetheart.
Which way does it do?
All right, so we're gonna take a look at these spark plugs that we just pulled. First and foremost, apparently we did have time. You know, the lesson here, guys, is you can pretty much just use whatever you need. Something out of your motorcycle, four-wheeler, push lawnmower, you know, anything's really an option when you're running these Chevy small block engines. So have at her. And gapping, it doesn't matter. Consistency and size, nope. Depth in the cylinder hole, not even close. Anything runs, anything works.
Well, the lie detector determined that was a lie.
Look at the gapping on these on, what was this, the number 1 and the number 3?
Yeah.
So the number 1 is gapped at 0.035. The number 3 is gapped at 0.065, which is pretty awesome. So spark plugs need to be replaced. We're glad we did that. Caitlin got the experience of changing them all out. There was a few I had to help her break loose, a few I had to help her figure out how to get out and get around the exhaust manifold on the number 7. But they're all done. We're gonna fire it up here in a minute and see how it runs. All right, let's try this one more time. Ready?
Yep.
No leaks?
No, I don't think so.
Man, that runs so much better. So much better.
This thing's got more leaks than a Senate Intelligence Committee.
We can fix that little leak at the bottom of that hose.
Sizzle, sizzle.
Just grab that nut driver that we used and tighten that up.
Smell.
Lock it. Nope, that loosened it. Lock it down tight, as tight as you can. We're gonna go ahead and try and tighten this up right here, because we've got a small leak of our brake fluid here. Brakes are actually in really good shape on this. I'm hoping that we're not going to have to service anything. We're going to check them in a future episode, but we're going to try and tighten this just a hair, try and seal this leak off, and then we're going to go ahead and refill, because these bad boys are almost empty. We're going to try and do that without having to bleed anything. If you bring that in here, Caitlin, I'll show you. Get my light over here. These, bring it over here on this side so you can see this. These are often really, really rusted and corroded. This is actually not that bad. It looks like this master cylinder was replaced at some point. Yeah, these two were not born together. So this looks newer, which makes me think that this just needs tightened. So we're just going to ease on it. This is a 9/16. And we're just... That makes me nervous. Okay. All right. I got a little bit of movement out of that. Not as much as I think it's going to need. So we're going to dry this off. Come back to it later, see if it's still leaking. But for now, we're going to go ahead, top this reservoir off. Alright, so you're going to just get some .3 paint remover here. Oh, that stings. That fluid actually looks fairly clean and clear, which makes me pretty happy. So, brake fluid's topped off. We're going to put that cap back on and move underneath. Wouldn't normally have to jack this up, but the camera will fit better underneath here. And what is all that? Caitlin, you know I used to be an EMT, and I got called once to a scene where a guy had been working in his garage and his trailer had fallen on top of him off of the floor jacks. It would have been a lot simpler for us if he had left the jack underneath it. So just in case someone has to call an ambulance, we're going to go ahead and leave the jack underneath this thing. Put some safety jacks underneath the frame rail.
For real?
Yeah, I'm for real.
You took the jack out?
He had it up on jack stands and took the actual jack out from underneath it. That's still recording, by the way.
Hi, world.
We may not have got that back corner of that valve cover gasket completely sealed up because it is leaking horribly off that back corner and right down this horrible Fram filter. Put a Fram filter in a truck. What kind of guy can't spend an extra $5 to get the right filter? Fram. All right, go ahead and put that on there. That's tightening it. You're gonna have to loosen it.
Is it all just gonna like...
Yep, put that extension on the socket and use it to thread it out with your fingers. Okay, now thread it out with your fingers. When it starts coming out, just pull, keep going and pull everything away.
Oh.
Spin it down and then dump it over because there's going to be oil inside of it.
Okay. Oh,
Dump it in the pan.
Dad.
In the pan.
Ah! Move the pan. It's
Here.
overflowing.
Here, put this one in here.
Oh!
You can just set that down.
Holy
in the pan.
cow. Oh,
I'm going to pre-fill the filter partially.
how am I supposed to turn off that?
You're going to have to hold it upright as you put it on. And don't mess up the gasket when you're putting it up there.
Ready to
Hold it upright. Don't turn it over.
Lucy.
Put it straight up on there and thread it on
Where is it?
in between the header and the block.
Dad, can you help? I can't like find the...
Okay. Here. There you go. Let me have it. I got it. Go ahead and pull your hands up. Yeah, you had it. It was right there.
Okay.
You might need to use a wrench for this at some point because they make wrenches that go on the bottom. See how this is
Yeah.
tapered for a special filter wrench?
Do you have that?
I don't have that because I have too strong hands, but some people need it and you might need it at some point in your life. Go ahead and take this plug. We're going to look at the end of it.
Plug?
There's no metal on the end of it. There's a magnet on the end that would grab metal if there was in the pan. There's nothing on there, which is great. So go ahead, put that in there. Make sure you cross thread it, get that good mechanical bond so that we don't have it falling out coming down the highway.
Oh. My hands are too slippery.
It's good, it's good. All right. Pull that socket and extension off of there. All right, Caitlin, so this is about to get real messy real quick. So what we're gonna do, there's no drain plug on this transmission pan. So you have to actually just drop the pan and let it run in. So what we're gonna do is start here in the front.
Whoa, wait, what do you mean like?
The whole pan's coming down.
Like...
So we take the two out of the front, and we're going to leave the two in the front corner for now. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to take these off on this side. You take them off on that side.
I can't.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Not on the back.
We'll get to the back in a minute. I know some of you fellas are saying to yourself, hey, what's with the lime green tools? Why don't you have a yellow one or a nice red one? No, you work with what you have, or in this case, what your wife lets you have. Where's the next one?
There.
Yep, go ahead and take that one off.
Ow, my eyebrow.
You gotta put your safety squints on. Close your eyes. Don't be staring up at the bottom of a dirty truck running a...
Stop. It felt
right in the eyeball.
right in the...
Yeah, you'll have that with these bigger jobs, so go ahead.
There.
Good.
I did it. Ugh. It's like my head in a bunch of grease, but I did it.
Probably won't hurt you for life.
Now what?
Well, I'm gonna get this drain pan in position.
We're not getting the back?
So we're gonna loosen the back, but we're not gonna pull them all the way out yet, okay?
Okay. But did this make our life so much easier?
I think you're right. I think I was turning it. I just didn't feel like I was. Just take the wrench off and spin it by hand. Quite a bit. You might want to get your face back.
Yeah.
There it goes. And
It's pretty red.
yep, transmission fluid is red.
Where does all that come from?
Where does all what come from?
Oh, what's that? It's like,
The fluid?
yeah.
There's a filler neck up top where the dipstick is.
Yeah.
And once we get this pan back in, we'll fill it back from there. But it's all contained inside the transmission. It's the stuff that makes the transmission function. When it's low on fluid, it won't drive forward or backward. So if you got a transmission that doesn't seem to function, first thing you do is check the fluid.
2 days later.
Help me make sure it's still going in the pan, okay?
Still going in the pan. Whoa. So the thing had just been sitting in there?
What thing? This is the pan gasket.
No.
That is screwed in with those two screws. That's actually the pickup filter for the transmission. So when we change this gasket, we're going to change that filter as well. All right, so what we have here, Caitlin, see that big buildup?
Yeah.
That is just a bunch of clutch material that is stuck to the pan right underneath where the filter was. So it's basically the filter, square filter sat right here, and it was picking up everything from around it and allowed all this gunk to settle. Look at all that.
Mine's thick. Look at mine.
Yep. So
And right
this
here.
definitely needed to happen.
And right here. Ooh, a lot right there.
Okay, Caitlin's going to drain the oil out of this rear diff. Before she does that, we're going to identify what we're dealing with back here. What we'd love to find is a Chevy 12-bolt rear end, but if you can count these bolts around the edge, there are 10 of them. And so what we're dealing with is a 10-bolt rear end, which has kind of a bad reputation, but there were 4 different versions of the Chevy 10-bolt. And what we have here, Caitlin, because we can see these dog ears right here on the bottom, we know that we're dealing with an 8.5-inch 10-bolt rear end, which is kind of the best of what we could expect. So it's better than the 7.5, better than the 8.2, and so we've got the best of the 10-bolt rear ends in this thing. So we're going to pull this diff cover, find out what gear ratio we have in this thing, and change the gear oil. So here we go. All right, we got all the bolts out. We're ready to crack this. Let's see what we got.
Oof.
Ooh.
It's rough.
Oh, it smells like muddy bandages dipped in battery acid. Ugh.
How come I don't smell it?
Put that on your finger and sniff it under your nose. I told you.
Ew. This is rough.
I told you. Here we go. All right, so it's in neutral now, Caitlin. And I can spin one wheel, and the diff is spinning, but the other wheel is not spinning. So we do not have a solid rear end, which is fine. It's not like great, you know. It just means when you do a burnout, you're going to be doing a one-wheel peel. We're going to calculate this gear ratio off this rear end by looking at these numbers right here. So, Caitlin, this is the ring gear,
Okay.
and back in here is the pinion gear.
Okay.
And there are two numbers right here. I'm not sure they're coming up on the camera very well. It's kind of a glare there. What's that first number? 16?
Where?
And right here.
Oh.
And 41. So if you take 41 divided by 16, so 41 is the number of teeth in the ring gear, 16 is the number of teeth in the pinion gear, and that gives you a gear ratio. 41 divided by 16. You're the mathematician. What is that? 256, right? 2.56.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a 256 rear end. You know, we're not going to be hot rodding, but we are going to be getting pretty good fuel mileage on the highway. So 373 gear or maybe a 410 would be really desirable, but 256 is going to be a very efficient rear end. So we're okay with that. We at least know what we've got now. We'll button her back up. Okay, so before we crawl under here and change the oil, Caitlin, I want you to pull the dipstick, and we're going to examine the oil that's on the dipstick, and then we're also going to give it the old sniff test, the old olfactory examination. So take a whiff of that. What do you smell?
Gas.
A little bit of gasoline.
Yeah.
Could be an indication that the rings are worn and some gas is getting passed. It could actually be, and this is probably more likely since we know the motor's been rebuilt, it could be that the plugs were so messed up, the spark plugs were so messed up and mix-matched and broken and fouled that the fuel wasn't actually burning, and so it was getting past the rings because there was so much of it that wasn't burning. So we're going to have to give it a sniff test when we got fresh oil in there and we've run it for a little bit. But gas smell in your oil is not really the thing you want to find when you're looking at a motor. So we'll see what we find when we get underneath it. Okay, we got all the bolts out of the pan. We're going to go ahead and drop it here. I'm going to have Caitlin drop it, and I'm going to guide the front. Hopefully we can get this off without having to spin the motor over to get the very front part of the crank out of the way of the pan to slip underneath this cross member, but we'll see what happens here. So, all right, Caitlin, give it a twist. See what happens.
A twist.
Yeah, grab a hold of it. Pry it off of there. Nothing's happening?
Nope.
Hold on, I'm gonna get the pry bar so you can put it against that flex plate there. Alright, gently pry on it. Don't put a big dent in the back of the pan. Just give it enough pressure to break it loose. The gasket's stuck. It's probably got a bunch of RTV on it from the last Yahoo that was in here.
Okay, now what?
Is it loose?
No.
Well, you gotta break it loose. drop your end and pull it back out. There we go. Sweet. Pull that out of there. All right. Here's the moment of truth. 2-bolt or 4-bolt. That is a 2-bolt main.
Please, no! No! No!
See what we're talking about when I say that, Caitlin?
Yeah.
These main bearing caps right here are 2 bolts.
Okay.
1, 2. The 4-bolt has a little step here, and there's another one outside here and another one outside here. So we've got a little 2-bolt main 350. Inside here looks to be in pretty good shape, actually, Caitlin.
Well, if you made it this far, that means you made it further than probably 90% of the people who watch this video, and so thanks for watching. But we're thankful for you guys watching. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Leave us a comment. Tell us again what you want us to do with this thing. What do you want to do with it, Caitlin?
I want to drive it, like, just out of this garage. Like,
One day it'll drive back out of this garage. It is super late at night. Caitlin's got school in the morning. We've got the information we need. This episode, you're not going to see us put the oil pan and the transmission pan back up there, but I can assure you, if you see us drive this thing out of here in the next episode, both of those things were reinstalled properly. And you know our motto, if it's going to get done, someone's going to have to do it. Problem is, it's so late tonight, it's not going to be her. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you here next time on Crossthread Garage and Salvage.
bow, 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 bow.